Welcome back to this series. In the last video, I showed this project built with Next.js 14, Shadcn, Tailwind, and Supabase as a backend. In the last video, we covered this, basically Supabase-based authentication, sign up, email validation, login, log out, etc. User comes in, uses this sign up form, which is built with Shadcn components and functionality provided with React hook form and validation with Zod. And using this, the user signs up, basically sends the request from the Next.js front end to the Next.js backend. And in the backend, I have this sign up endpoint. And this is where I have all the Supabase related logic. From here, the registration or sign up request is sent to Supabase, and Supabase inserts this user data into the database. But at this point, the user is not validated. So Supabase then sends an email to the user for confirmation. But we had a problem here. The default Supabase allows me to send only 3 emails per hour, which was not enough. So I went ahead and got a resend email service account, which is a fantastic one because they let us send up to 100 emails per day and 2,000 emails per month, which is great for development. So I went ahead and set up resend configuration with Supabase. And from this point on, with every registration, Supabase uses resend to send email to the user, and user then clicks on a link that validates the information into the Supabase database. And at this point, the user is finally ready to log in. Only after the email validation, user can use this login form, which is also created with Shadcn component, React hook form, and Zod. User can now log in to their corresponding portals. That said, let's go back to our current video topic. All right, so in the last video, we actually had only this screen as our home page. But ever since then, I made a few changes. Now we have a public homepage. And with this, I have 3 different access levels. One is public, open to everybody. And anybody that comes to this application sees this page and all the other open pages for public. And then I have a members portal, which is currently locked. And then we also have an admin portal, which is also locked by the user type. And also I have a super admin portal where we get to create other super admins, admins, and members. And currently, the default registration form, which is open to everybody, creates only members. That said, now let's go to the Supabase backend. All right, so here you see 3 different users with 3 different access levels. And if we just go in here and view the user info, we go to the user metadata, and we see here 3 extra data points other than username, email, etc. Okay, so here we see the isAdmin has a Boolean 1, isMember has a 0, and isSuperAdmin has a 0. So that means this user is an admin. And these are all inserted during the user creation time, which we will see later. And if we check this guy here, and under the metadata, we see that isMember is 1. That means this is a member user. And this guy is a super admin, because super admin is 1, the rest is 0. So now let's go start with the member. All right. Okay, so we have the member's email and the password here. So let's log in. Oh, there you go. Immediately, we are redirected to the members portal. And if we go home right now, we see the other guys here. So let's try to access the admin portal, which is locked. Super admin portal also locked. but we do have access to the members folder because we logged in as the member. And here I intentionally kept two other links. These links actually belong to the admin user. So I just kept them here so that I can test it out. So let's say if a member tries to log into, just try to look at this page, it is also locked because everything is under the admin grouping, or the admin type users can only access. Let's try this guy. This is also locked. Now, let's go back and log out. And this time we go back to the home page and try to access member again. We can't. All right, so let's go check out our super admin. All right, so let's log in as the super admin. Oh, there you go. And you can already see there's a different layout and everything going on here. And this is the form that I told you about. This is where we get to create super admins, admins, and members. And this is a dashboard. But here, these links, I'm actually bringing in the pages from the admin user dashboard, pretty much. I intentionally kept that just to show you. Like, for example, if I want to click here at the posts, it's locked out, right? Because only an admin user can access it. So now let's go back, and just to make sure that the other ones are locked too. Members is locked, admin portal is locked, and super admin is wide open for us. And from here, let's log out. Okay, and this time, last but not least, our admin user, let's bring in. All right, so let's log in as admin, and boom, look at that, admin portal. And this time, we can actually visit these links. Sorry, this link actually went to the homepage by mistake. Anyway, but also remember, these pages used to be locked under member and super admin. So now these are easily accessible. Let's last few checks. Member is locked and super admin is also locked. With that, we just showed that we just implemented a role-based user access via Supabase authentication. Now let's go check out what's actually happening in the backend via a diagram before we get to the code. All right, so this is what's happening in the backend. With every login, from the Supabase user object is getting these custom data points that I added. The values are booleans: is super admin, is admin, or is member. If their values are 1, for example, if the super admin is 1, then it goes straight to the super admin HOC, which is the higher order component, which I used as a wrapper on top of the super admin layout file. The same way, the admin HOC or higher order component wraps the admin layout, and the member higher order component wraps the member layout file. And if you know a little bit about the Next.js app router, then you know that we can now group the routes by using just these parentheses around the folder name. Like, for example, the super admin, admin, and member. And under these folders, they will have their corresponding layout files that will actually take you to all the other pages, like the portal page here and the user creation form and other files. And in the admin cases, in the admin's case, the dashboard, the post, insert form, edit form, etc., and the other files, and also in the members portal and the other files. All these files will be route guarded just by using a wrapper around these corresponding layout files. And in these higher order components, I'm using the necessary protection logic depending on these Boolean values. That said, time to hit the code. All right, so we are back at the Next.js code. And as I promised, you can see here under the app router, this is how I organize all my routes. The admin has all the admin stuff inside. The member has all the member files, but each of them has their layout files underneath. Superadmin has its own pages, portals, and the layout. And if we look at the layout files, this is what we see. It's a very simple layout, but the actual thing that's actually protecting everything is this. This is the HOC component with admin protection. And if you go under the member layout, you'll see with member protection, and that's where we're putting in the member layout. And this HOC or higher order component is acting as the protector and the wrapper, which is basically taking over this layout and protecting it and checking everything before it lets you go into this layout. And same with this admin layout. Here we are having the with superadmin protection. This is the HOC that's protecting the superadmin layout, right? Now, before we look into this HOC or higher order component file, let's go first check the Zustand store. This is where we have our auth store. This one, first I'm creating an interface. That's where I am declaring all the data types because this is Next.js. And then I'm actually importing a very important function called persist from Zustand middleware. Under the context API, I actually had to do them manually. And in Redux, I had to get some third-party library, but Zustand is smart enough to give us this persist so that we just by using this function inside this function, I'm declaring all the initial state. For example, when you first go in, user would be null and all the roles would be 0 and is authenticated would be false. But then after login, we would set user, depending on the user's availability, is authenticated, user, etc., and put it under the user object, update the user object, set roles, doing the same thing. And then we have the login function. Here we are invoking the API auth login endpoint to creating a post request. And upon the success, and we're sending email and password, and once it is successful, we get a response. If we don't get a response, okay, we give it an error. Otherwise, we just set roles and such depending on user metadata and turn these authenticated to true. When we log out, we also make another post request to the logout endpoint. Now, these endpoints I described in detail in the last video, so I'm not going to go over them again. So please check that out. But once the logout happens, then we just update all the role information, you turn user null and set authenticated as false. If the response is not okay, we generate an error. And in here, this is the name for our auth store object that we store in the local storage. We can go back here and see under local storage, localhost 3000, auth store, you'll find all the details here. And this is how Zustand help us persist the user information upon login, logout. And that being said, let's go check out the HOC or higher order component files. And by the way, if you look at here, usually I don't let my API calls right in here like this. In fact I will, I didn't have time, but in the next variation, I'm going to go ahead and refactor them and take these functions and put them under the service folder. Like here we did for the post service. When I was making calls to the fake JSON API, I create a get post, get single, etc. Turn this API calls into nice little functions so that I can use them over and over in anywhere I like. So that's where I'm going to go ahead and refactor these files also. Create like authentication, like a login function, and refactor this out and put it under service. And the logout function, take it out and put it under service. So that being said, let's go back to the HOCs. Under HOC, let's look at the admin protection and make sure this is using this use client, because everything is happening in Zustand, which is a state management on the browser side. And in here, I'm bringing in router and is authenticated state from Zustand store and the user roles. And depending on that roles, I am doing the redirect. And in the end, returning the wrapped component. Same here, exact same code. Only difference is this time it is using members instead of admin. And in here, in admin protection, it's using super admin. It's using super admin status. And in the end, we are exporting the with super admin protection as the HOC. And eventually, under app folder, under layout, we are collecting these layouts and using this with admin protection as a wrapper and sending the admin layout through it. And at last, I should show you two components from here under authentication, the login form. I went through it in detail in the last video, so I'm not going to go over the whole thing, but only thing you need to check out is this guy, how we are handling the submit form. And according to the login success, we are getting all the roles from the store, and depending on that status, we are redirecting the user to their super admin portal or the dashboard for the admin or the members portal. And if we fail, we are generating a error message, and we're doing the same thing with the logout. Only important thing here is the use auth, because as soon as the logout is successful, we are updating the state at our Zustand store. Now, in case you're wondering why everything is done on the browser side using the client components, let me just show you. I actually tried my best to do everything on the Next.js backend or server side. I used this middleware instead, very strong, nice middleware, and that actually helped me control all the redirections, etc. But it only worked in the dev mode. The moment I created a build, Next.js came in with its over caching everything, they cached all the routers and such, so it always avoided the middleware, and only way the middleware would work if I manually refresh the browser. So what are we? Are we using Next.js or PHP? So that's kind of bullshit that Next.js brings in, overcache the shit out of everything. And that being said, that explains why I'm doing everything with Zustand. Thanks for watching.